to guide you through the undertow. From tales of love lost and battles won, to secrets that hide when the day is done. You'll paint the night with stories so stark. Welcome to Family Law After Dark. Light up that cigar and pour a glass of red, as we wade through matters not often said, where hearts and minds often leave a mark. Dive deep into Family Law After Dark. The lawyer's voice smooth like leather, piecing lives only he can tether. In the sultry jazz lounge, let the wisdom flow. Feel the rhythm in the late night glow. Through custody tangles and alimony strife, he navigates the drama of everyday life. With a wry wink and a cheeky remark, let's unravel Family Law After Dark. Light up that cigar and pour a glass of red, as we wade through matters not often said, where hearts and minds often leave a mark. Dive deep into Family Law After Dark. Light up that cigar and pour a glass of red, as we wade through matters not often said, where hearts and minds often leave a mark. Dive deep into Family Law After Dark.
Happy Friday, everybody. It's Omar Srada with the Tilt the Lawyer podcast. I'm being joined by Bruce Moose and the infamous Ninja, known as the champion of schnitzels, Schnitzel Ninja. She's here. She's here to accommodate us. And you know what, man? We got an important show to do today. We have some user submissions. I don't know why a lot of you guys tune in to hear me talk, honestly, on this flag show that we do, the hijinks that we get into. But you haven't trusted us with some of your stories, and some of you guys are going through an awful lot of things. And we're going to talk about it on today's show. If you read the description, you kind of get a preamble of what it was all about. But I have changed some things to protect anonymity in this case, and we're going to just dive right into that. But Bruce, how you doing, man? First time you've been on the show in like a month, because you've been like playing Dungeons and Dragons and shit.
I know. My friends are very busy.
My friends.
But today I got the day off, so here I am.
The day off from your retirement? What a dick. After a day like what I had today, man, you're talking about a day off and your fake retirement. I'm offended.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a not equal rights. How you feeling, Schnitzel?
Fake retirement is nice. I can write snarky comments on LinkedIn and just like goof around.
I'd imagine that's a thing to do. Like when you're actually retired, just like fuck around with people and troll them. Step into random internet chat rooms and just like start wars like the Russians do.
Yeah.
Anyway, hey Schnitzel, you sound like my voice was sounding last week. How you doing?
Great. I got some bourbon here.
Hell yeah. What you drinking?
Woodford Double Oak.
Nice. I got me some Dalmore 15.
Nice.
Bruce is having a sandwich, so it's not the same.
Oh, it's spicy chicken too.
Nice.
I'm gonna eat all red, but I got
nice.
It'll match. I got this Cannonball Northwest Red Ale.
Nice.
From Migration Brewing.
Is that a wine cooler? Like we were friends and we were hanging out. Like, would I tell you, like, would I be clown on you for having a wine cooler right now?
It's ale.
Still.
It's like
it's
ale. It's the manliest,
like the stoutest
It's
of
not
ales.
just an ale; it's a red ale.
But I mean, I would never. If I ever talk shit, don't ever pay attention to me. It's always out of love, and I'm half the time. Well, most of the time, just bullshitting anyway.
It is sad you can't get Zima anymore. That was a good drink.
You would remember Zima's. Schnitzel, do you remember Zima's?
I have no idea what a Zemas? I don't know what it
It
is.
was like a 90s thing.
Oh
It was like,
gosh! Now I feel really old.
yeah.
My mom in high school, she would give me DNA, which was like some kind of wine cooler thing. But my parents don't drink like at all. It's because of a family history issue. But anyway, so they'll only drink maybe for special occasions, like if there's champagne somewhere.
What? I totally missed it.
Oh, I was trying to read your. I didn't want to interrupt your.
Oh no, I was just trying to say. I thought I read that name wrong, and then I was like, "Oh, that's not what that said." I read it Amber Muff. Muff.
Of course you did.
I know.
Oh boy,
we're getting started early here on Friday.
That date is Monday.
What's up, Rob? Hey, I sent you an email, by the way, Rob, and you haven't received it yet, but another time. I'm not going to jump right into this heavy case that we have because I want some more people to trickle in to do it justice. So I'm going to start with this kind of benign case that we have about teenagers lying in court and what I think about that. We had a lot of user submissions. I didn't at all choose the content for this show. Last week, Schnitzel did. I don't remember who did the week before that, but this week it was all you. This is all stuff y'all wanted me to talk about. So look at Amber. She said, "Omar, calm down. You know that you have alcohol." Like, what does that have to do with anything? I can't see.
She's saying, hopefully that's your excuse for some of the shit you say.
I mean, yeah.
There's no calming down.
Oh, I've had a day, man. It has been a day. I did a trial over Zoom for the first time ever. That was wild.
Oh wow.
Oh my.
I won. But still, it was fucking weird.
What did you do during the whole pandemic thing?
Oh, well, that's how you got over the constitutional hurdle about what about the right to face your accusers and witnesses against you? How could you possibly say you're doing that over Zoom? And the courts just said, well, because you are. How about that? That's just how we're going to do it. We have no choice.
But I mean, you personally didn't do any court hearings over Zoom during that time?
No, we did. We did court hearings, but trials were mostly extended or continued. The entire court calendar just got derailed. And so if you had trials, they were put on hiatus for a while. And so although we did hearings, evidentiary hearings was a big one to not do. And so we refrained from the evidentiary hearings and did other stuff. But to the extent that they had to proceed, like in criminal cases, I heard that was a huge issue. But that's another story for another day.
Wow.
Nobody gives a shit about due process and constitutional rights, as far as I'm concerned, on Flat.
I do.
on a Friday.
On a Friday.
I'm here.
Evening, no less. Brad got mad at me Bruce got mad at me because of the new time slot, the Friday time slot. Bruce doesn't like it.
What don't you like about it?
Well, because he games.
We're supposed to game every other week.
Oh.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're like every week. And I'm like, you guys said every other week, and now what's happening?
All right, so this is a warm-up case, all right? We're just going to get our brains lubricated off of this story about teenagers lying in court. So I've skimmed through it. I haven't read it in detail. This is going to be my first time, so let's see what's going on. Why is my headphones so high? Let me fix that real quick. All right, now we're good. Please, no negativity. I think maybe I just want to vent for us. Warning, this is a long post. It's totally not. I don't even know if I'm in the right area for this post, but I feel like only parents would understand. My husband and I have known each other for 10 years. Together for 9. Married 4. He has 2 kids from a previous marriage. She left him and took everything and even signed the kids over to him. Daughter was 1 and son was barely 4 months old. 9 months and 21 days apart, if you're wondering. I met them when she was 6.
Were we wondering?
I wasn't wondering shit.
I don't think so.
She makes a lot of assumptions, I could tell. She's one of those, you know? I can tell that you're going to be offended by what I have to say, and then she's telling you about like her knitting schedule or whatever, on how she put too much salt in the chicken soup, how she put fucking bell peppers in the enchiladas. That's not an enchilada, miss.
I mean,
that is a
that's a crime right there. That's federal.
Man, it is a faux pas. Could we just call it a cooking faux pas? Like for once and for all. If you put bell peppers in the enchilada, then it's a fajita. They're different cooking mechanisms anyway.
The fajitas have to come out on those hot plates and they bring it to the table.
That's exactly what I'm saying. And enchiladas are baked. And so it's just
your thing was baked, right?
Enchiladas are supposed to be baked.
Okay. Was your thing baked?
Or grilled? It was what baked?
Mitigating this again. Was the thing you had with the bell peppers in it baked or not?
Yes.
It was baked. So it's not a fajita.
But it should have been, is my point.
Oh, boy.
It's like you have the ingredients for a fajita, but you put it in the oven.
Sometimes life presents us with happy accidents, and we need to accept these accidents as improving our creativity.
Sometimes life presents us with sad accidents, and we just have to maneuver between the two.
Oh boy!
Boy. Oh.
Hey, just caution, man. I'm going to be on one today. I've had a day, so
I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
All right, yelling at judges and stuff. I wonder if judges watch my show. I really do. I'm not sure. I don't think they do.
I bet maybe if it's not a judge, it's a judge what's the word I'm looking for? Judge adjacent.
Judge adjacent?
Yeah.
Like aspiring judges? Well, I know for a fact some attorneys watch my show. All of my prospective clients find my podcast inevitably, as you might imagine.
Do you mean any judges or judges that you might appear in front of?
No, that I appear in front of. I don't think that they do, but you could never be too sure.
You never know.
When I appear for a remote appearance and it's like the Tilted Lawyer podcast setup, I just wonder if they're like...
Maybe that judge from today.
Oh, that like, guy.
Chilling out, having a spicy chicken sandwich tonight, watching you.
Well, the judge this morning did her best.
I really need some barbecue sauce, though.
You know, you could just whip some up. You could just, what is it, ketchup and vinegar and...
No, I have it. I just need to put it on something. So I made the spicy chicken sandwich as the barbecue sauce delivery vehicle.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. It was a means to an end.
Or an ends to a mean.
Exactly.
It's up to you to decide the difference. All right. So this lady with the assumptions, I met when she was 6. And are you guys already bored with this? Should I continue with this one? Because I got others.
I want to hear more.
All right. My husband asked them when we were serious, and I had been around them for a year, but before we move in, if they like me, and if it was okay for me to become family. He had been divorced already, had primary custody, and the mom every other weekend visitation, summer, week to week. Me and him already discussed all matters, and if there was a no from either kid, we wouldn't move to the next step at that time. I feel like this is how so many declarations of people that are representing themselves are written. They can't afford counsel, and they're doing their best to convey the English language, but they write it like an 8th grade level, and it's like there's no paragraphs, and you really just got to hone in. The danger of representing yourself is not that people are going to judge you. It's just that if your stuff is hard to read and the judge is reading 100 of these a day before like 8 a.m., good luck getting your point across is all.
Wait, why would the judge be reading this? Wouldn't the attorney be reading this?
Well, the judge reads, they're supposed to read declarations. Like declarations are the same as testimony in court. So you write a declaration, it's under oath, penalty of perjury. The judge should be well-versed in whatever was filed in declaration form from either side so they can know what the case is about. Otherwise, they're winging it. And then it's like, well, I mean, anybody could do this. And then it's like, you know what? I think we're going to continue this to another day.
If this lady was your client and she wrote a declaration that read like this,
I'd rewrite it.
You wouldn't rewrite it?
I would 100% rewrite it.
Okay.
Or rewrite it in the simplest way manner, the easiest way to, like, that's like 80% of the job is taking your story and putting it in a way that's favorable that the judge is going to understand.
Okay.
Very good. Nothing wrong with what she's saying. It's just that it's difficult to read. And we're getting through it. So obviously it was all yes. Well-rounded, both our jobs around the best working hours and close to home. Always on vacation together, me and my stepdaughter grew very close, which made mom jealous, but she had a new man. This is like 80% of my week, man, just going through these stories. Fast forwarding stepdaughter, it's always, but you know what? I don't want my kids around her new man because I don't know that guy. I don't trust him. I was like, well, it's kind of none of your business.
Oh boy.
There are a lot of date other folks.
Human's gonna human.
You know? It's an epidemic. Fast forwarding stepdaughter was that requires a comma. Fast forwarding. Stepdaughter was in behavioral counseling just before it came into the picture. This has on and off through the years and is now, as of 2023, diagnosed with multiple behavior disorders. I should honestly ask AI to rewrite this.
Right? Yes. It almost needs, well, we don't, okay.
You know what? I'm doing it. I can't do this. And prove the writing. You guys are seeing it in real time. All right. So my husband and I
summarized it down to 2 sentences. That's pretty good. Oh my gosh. Wow.
My husband and I have known each other for 10 years, been together for 9, married for 4, have 2 kids from a previous marriage. Their mother left him, took everything, even signed over custody to him. His daughter was 1, son was barely 4 months old at the time. I met them when his daughter was 6 and his son was 5. After we'd been dating seriously for about a year, my husband asked the kids if they liked me and if it was okay for me to become part of their family before we moved in together. And at that point, he already had primary custody. The mother had visitation every other weekend, shared summers week by week. It's already way better, see? My husband and I had discussed everything beforehand and decided if either of the kids said no, we wouldn't move forward at that time. Thankfully, they both said yes. We structured our jobs around the best hours possible to be close to home and available for them. We always went on vacations together. And over time, my stepdaughter and I became very close. So much so that her mother grew jealous, even though she had moved on with a new partner. Fast forward, my stepdaughter was already in behavioral counseling when I first came into the picture. This counseling continued on and off for years. As of 2023, she's been diagnosed with multiple behavior disorders. 6 total? I think we need some expert testimony as to that. That doesn't seem like a valid diagnosis. Along with depression and anxiety, my stepson, so 8.
That's 8.
I know. My stepson started having meltdowns at school, so we took him to the doctor. They referred him for behavioral evaluation. He was ultimately hospitalized in 2024. Oh, no. When he was discharged, he was diagnosed with multiple behavioral disorders as well. Red flags. Something's not right. Something's up.
You mean with this story, or?
Yes. Something's wrong. Right after this, their mother filed a protective order accusing my husband of abuse and was granted temporary custody. Yeah, something is off. We just went to the court this month, but it felt like a total disaster. Our lawyer, despite the short notice, didn't inform us that all of the evidence we had would be considered hearsay unless we subpoenaed witnesses or documents. I highly doubt that. I just doubt it. Maybe. I don't know. In other words, all her evidence was hearsay, so they had no evidence. Which would be the first point of discussion in a consultation about this case. So what evidence do you have? Well, she said, he said, well, that's hearsay. I can't get that in. Do you have anything tangible? Well, no. Okay. Well, the person that heard these comments, are they going to come to court to testify? Well, I don't know. I have to find out who they are. Okay. Well, who were they? Well, they overheard our conversation as we were at the fair and they were working the ice cream stand. It's like, oh, totally. I'm going to find that person. This is going to work out great. I'm not even kidding. That's a literal case that I had a couple of years ago. Anyway, he never even suggested that we ask for a continuance to gather and present the necessary proof. As a result, my husband lost custody and his parental rights. I guarantee you, because here's what I'm reading. These are the tea leaves. This attorney looks at that case. There's allegations of abuse against dad. There's probably tangible evidence to prove it. And he's like, we're not coming out ahead. I'm not going to put this to an evidentiary hearing to have further vilified in the eyes of a judge who's supposed to decide whether or not it's safe for the children to be with him. So let's just cut our losses. The only way that makes sense is if that was the case. Just looking at this from my perspective. He never even suggested we ask for consent. Okay, so the guardian ad litem assigned to the case never contacted us, didn't even review the same documents we provided in the court. I believe that. And the frustrating part is that CPS found no abuse, therapy sessions reported no abuse, and doctor's visits show no signs of abuse either. Despite this, the ruling still went against him. Because look, it's not the same to say that they didn't find anything. There's 3 classifications. Allegations are either founded, unfounded, which is they definitely didn't happen, or inconclusive. It's like, I don't know. You might want to have a hearing. So she might be confusing inconclusive with they were totally cleared. What hurts most is hearing the kids lie about him. How do you even begin to cope with that? Everyone on their mother's side, including the kids, seems to have turned against us. Both of us thought we had a great relationship with them. Even their therapist was shocked when she found out what happened after the kids missed an appointment. My husband is completely heartbroken. It's hard to even put into words how much he's hurting. The truth is the kids didn't want to come back. And now my husband isn't sure if he wants to fight again in court, even though we have all the evidence to refute the accusations. At this point, we're wondering if it's just time for the kids to be with their mother. They'll be 16 and 15 this year. Yeah, I think it's time to let them do what they want. And we understand how teenagers are. They'll do whatever feels easiest or most convenient for them. Let's just dismiss what the children have to say. They might have had like genuine stories of abuse or neglect, but they're lazy. We're the authoritarian parents, and she's the fun parent. Of course they want to go with mom. Maybe it's just their mother's turn now. If that's the case, we'll end up as empty nesters earlier than expected, and that's something we're trying to come to terms with. Oh, cry me a river.
So it sounds like they're 15 and 14 now because they just had this hearing. They just said in March, and it is March. Like they just posted this in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, this is recent. So look.
What is the question here?
What to do about children lying in court. Our teenagers lied in court. In other words, they went to court. She wasn't very articulate in what was said or the evidence against her husband, but I promise you it's probably something like, if there is an allegation of abuse against dad and they grant a temporary restraining order, there's some evidence there. They hire an attorney, they look at the evidence, and they're like, yeah, we're not going to be pressing on this. There is no victory in confronting the evidence against you. But it sounds like they did have a hearing because the children, if they testified, something happened. So the children go in there and they talk about various questions that were important to the attorneys, important to the judge, which would have been namely the abuse allegations. What was she talking about? And they're trying to dismiss, multiple behavior disorders, depression, anxiety, and all. Abuse. Yeah, they were afterwards saying it was abuse per the father and was granted temporary custody. Mother went and filed a protective order saying it was abuse per father and was granted temporary custody. CPS, I'm interpreting this as CPS findings were inconclusive, not unfounded. Otherwise, this would have had different results. But she prefaces this abuse claim with the children have mental health issues. Something ain't right with this case. I'm willing to venture a guess that something was going on. The children spoke whatever truth regarding the abuse. Children are not really, I don't know. What do you do? Okay, the two of you guys are the judge.
This is interesting because I literally just made a management video today and posted it about how do we know things, right? What do we know? What's an assumption?
Yeah.
What is an educated guess? What is bullshitting? What is lying? Okay. Yep. And lying is when you know the correct answer and you tell somebody the incorrect answer for some sort of purpose, right? Like some nefarious purpose. And this lady seems convinced psychologically that everybody's lying and that she has this magic evidence, that has convinced her, but hasn't convinced anybody, her lawyer or the guardian ad litem or whoever, anybody else. So it's everybody against her.
Yeah.
And it's all lies. Like, to me, this seems like a very paranoid post. It combined with the poor writing quality and the lack of paragraphs and everything else.
Yeah.
It's just like, how do you cope? I think you need to start looking at why, sometimes it's not about, if you have an employee and you say, hey, employee, give me your best estimate for something or give me your educated guess on something. The answer isn't always the most important part. The why is often the more important thing in terms of the confidence level or some other details that you may need as a manager or a person analyzing this case, for example.
Yeah.
So all of these things are red flags to me in this story that we're reading.
I don't read it as paranoid. I read it as she's in denial
Yeah, I mean,
about which side she's in.
that's probably a better term.
And
I'm not a
she,
psychologist.
I'm no, and neither am I. I just play one in court. I just feel like she has been on this guy's side for 10 years now. And she has turned a blind eye to a lot of stuff. And I'm not certain that she knows what's going on with her husband. I'm not certain that she knows what's going on, the whole story. She's believing what her husband is saying, but there's a danger in that. The danger in just blindly believing in your partner is, well, that kind of leads us into our next story, doesn't it? Let's just get into this one. This is a user submission, and this person is in the comments, in the chat with us right now. But this is her story. Let me
You can
share.
get rid of the chat.
Oh,
We do bingo to figure out which comment you're going to leave up for a half an hour on the screen when you do a live stream.
well, all right. So there's I think it's this one. All right, cool. So I've modified her story. She sent me all kinds of images and text messages and stuff corroborating the story. She hasn't asked me for my legal advice. She has an attorney. But this is a story that she wanted to share on Vlad. And I have rewritten it to kind of protect the identity of what's going on. So this is her narrative. I still remember the phone call that changed everything. He was crying, telling me he was going to kill himself, that he had nothing left, that I was the only person who could save him, and I believed him. I dropped everything, packed up my life, left my family and my home behind to be with him. The very next day, he was arrested. He told me it was just a probation violation, no big deal, misunderstanding. He said it was just for failing a drug test for weed. He lied. What I didn't know then was that this wasn't his first time in jail, and it wouldn't be his last. What I didn't know was that he was a full-blown addict. And it wasn't just weed, it was crack cocaine. And if it was crack cocaine, it was probably also meth. And if it was meth, it was probably a host of all kinds of other stuff. I told myself I couldn't help him, that my love, my support, my sacrifices would make a difference. I was so wrong. Yeah, and the love in the hands of the wrong person is not helpful. It's enabling. And that was the issue with her here. By the way, in 2025, do you know how easy it is to do a background check on these folks? If you're out like on the dating apps or whatever you do, background check folks.
Especially if you know the right people.
Yes, especially if you know the right people. Like within seconds, I can know everything about this guy. Everything. His neighbors, who he associates with, his tax liens, his criminal record, his rap sheet, his employers, all kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff. It's really worth it. Look into the people that you're dating, because choosing the wrong person could be catastrophic and in some cases fatal.
So our author moved in with them? Is that because that was the title, but it wasn't in the...
Yeah.
She left behind a family, left my family and my home to be with him. Very next day, he's arrested. He says probation violation. That was a lie. So he broke me down piece by piece. At first, it was little things. He convinced me to quit my job. Told me I didn't need my own phone. He said I was miserable because of my work, not because of him. He promised that if we just focused on us, things would get better. But instead, things got worse. He took my money, my car. He left me stranded for hours, sometimes overnight. He screamed at me. He blamed me for his addiction. He told me I was the reason he used. He pushed me. He bruised me. He took things from me by force. I became a shadow of myself. And when I got pregnant, I thought maybe, just maybe, things would change. Of course they didn't. When I was 13 weeks pregnant, he told me to get an abortion. When I refused, he told me I was incapable of being a mother. He didn't come to my doctor's appointments. He wasn't there when I went into labor. And when our daughter was born, he saw her once and then he left. And for years, he was in and out of my life, barely making an effort until suddenly he wanted custody. Why? Let me just guess. Is it because he wants the child support discount?
How old do you know? Do you know how old these people were when they were met or were going through this?
I'm going to posit a guess. I'm going to say that they were in their early 30s, late 20s.
Okay,
I don't want to reveal too
but
much.
that's a guess.
Yeah. I don't know exacts, and I didn't ask for specifics. I didn't want to know specifics. I asked her to be very secretive about stuff,
Yeah. And we don't know how long after the kid was born that they wanted custody.
No.
It said years, but like, is the kid? How we don't know.
Oh, we got a lot of this story to get to. We're not even at the very beginning yet. This dude turns out to be like a sovereign citizen. He made threats against her brother.
A sovereign citizen? Oh no!
Oh yeah, there's sovereign citizen shit in this
I did
story.
not have that on the bingo card.
Well, you need to get a new card, sir. Because
I do.
but look, if you are trying to abuse and control a person, this is kind of the playbook, isn't it? She's now financially dependent on him because
Exactly. They cut you off from everyone you love, from anything you love, anything that makes you unique or an individual. So they
These things are
completely
big
rely
red
on you.
flags, like not having your own phone.
Yep.
in what world would you agree to not have a phone?
Not helping you
If
get a job you want or whatever.
dude, it's hard. It's hard to imagine, like, because I was in my abusive relationship and people were like, how did you let it get to that
Yeah.
point, or why didn't you leave? And it's like those aren't the right questions to ask. You can't
Right.
really answer them. I mean, it's complex. You can answer them, but it takes a lot of explaining. Like, it's hard to explain if you're not in that situation. It's hard to explain how it gets there. It's not overnight.
Well, it's like death by a
And
thousand.
experience is a big thing too. Like if you don't have a lot of experience, that's why I was asking about the
Mhm.
age, because a lot of times younger people won't see these red flags.
Mhm.
That's true. That is true. And to Schnitzel's point, yeah, it's like little. He broke me down piece by piece. That's the how we're phrasing this, and
And
then
sometimes it's done over months or years.
yeah, over isolation. You isolate somebody brick by brick,
Mhm.
one brick at a time, and next thing you know that they're isolated inside of your four walls, and there's not a way out. And then you're like, well, what the fuck happened? Well, shit, it was like over the course of a period of time.
Mhm.
And these various is somebody here? What's up, Brad?
What's up, everyone? How's it going?
Good to see you, man. He just got done cooking a couple of steaks.
I took steak too, vegan steak.
Nice.
They were.
I've asked you once what a vegan steak is made out of.
You don't want to know.
It's plant protein.
Mm. Well,
Wait, what is made of?
What a vegan steak is made out of.
Oh,
never mind that. We're in the
Fine.
midst of a very important story right here.
it'll be fine.
I don't want to lose the tenor. All right, so here we go. When our daughter was born, he left it again. He saw her once, left for years, is in and out of my life, barely making an effort until he wants custody. Now, he didn't want his daughter. He wanted control. I see this so much in these family law cases. It's God, man, it's hard to be a family law attorney sometimes because it's just it's shocking how evil people are to each other. It's just shocking. Like you think that you have people figured out, and then there's a segment of people where it seems to be that their default is just darkness, evilness, whatever. You can't explain people's behavior. It weighs on you. I tell you, it weighs on you. It weighs on you.
Mhm.
For years he was absent, no support, no consistency, no interest. Then 2 months after I got married, he files for full custody. Not just visitation, full custody. To which, if I was her attorney, I know she didn't ask me for this advice, but I would say like hell, you're going to get full custody.
Mhm.
Based on what? Based on what legal standard? The truth is, him filing for that is kind of a red herring, because there's not a chance in hell that there's any legal precedent that would allow for it, short of him accusing her of like substance abuse, child abuse, neglect, those kinds of things. And there we go. He claims he claimed I was mentally unfit to parent. He demanded psych evaluations for me, my husband, and even my mother. Oh, I would push back on that. It's like, okay, well, we'll agree to psych evals, but you got to agree to 4 random drug tests a month at a time of our choosing.
And a psych eval.
And a psych eval. Yeah. If you do it, we'll do it. How about that?
Is that how you would approach this, Omar? As
100% I would.
Petitioner, like some sort of negotiation process? Or like, to me, I'm just looking at this, and if the guy was like in and out of the,
first of all,
barely making an effort,
I'll tell you what.
Aren't their claims very baseless? Like, wouldn't a judge just sort of see that? Or is
No,
you still have to do this negotiation process because the judge could just...
I wouldn't call it a negotiation.
Okay.
Because there's no negotiating with this guy. Let's just assume he doesn't have an attorney. Let's just assume he does have an attorney. He's not going to let his attorney negotiate. He wants what he wants, right? He wants a pound of flesh. And so I would go on the offensive. I was like, first of all, every single claim lodged in his pleadings is baseless and a provable falsity. That opens him up to suit 271 sanctions. Second of all, there's not a legal basis for him to ask for full custody. My client will not only submit to a psych eval, but will do it on the condition, Your Honor, that he also commits to the same. Because in my client's pleadings, she has alleged truthfully multiple rounds of domestic violence and abuse, manipulation and psychological torture, and that we're going to ferret out in an evidentiary hearing. We will 100%, you know what? Let's just call it. Let's bring out all the experts. We will get a straight up 720 eval. How about that? We'll split the costs. You get yourself a full psych eval. We'll go through the same. We'll have the experts lodge their opinions, and then we'll make do. And you know what else? We will agree to 4 times a month to submit to voluntary drug tests at a time and place of his choosing. He picks a date, a time, and a place within 5 miles of where she lives, or 10 miles or whatever. She'll be there within 6 hours. Failure to show up is a failed drug test, but he's got to submit to the same. And when he doesn't submit to the same, then you know something is up. Secondly, none of that shit happens. And so it's not so much a negotiation. It's a if they're throwing haymakers, you got to block and throw your own haymakers. And that's how shit gets real nasty. Now it threatens to like climax into like this really volatile thing, but where that almost always, like 99% of the time, ends up is nobody does shit because he doesn't want to agree to that, and you don't want to subject your client to that because of his baseless claims of mental health deficiencies or whatever.
Yeah.
So
I think the interesting thing I'm learning from this that you're pointing out is you're laying out a roadmap for what you want to do next.
Yeah.
Whereas what's here in this posting is it didn't matter that XYZ, like claims of the past.
Yeah.
And I feel like I see this a lot in these posts or these cases or things like that. People say, what about this? What about that? That happened, this happened, all of that.
Yeah.
But I think what's more maybe useful here is what you're talking about. We're going to lay out a path to move forward. And that's what you want to think about rather than, what about this? What about that? What about this litany? Like the last post we looked at, what about this litany of details?
Well, I'll tell you what, people come to me with this, and if this lady were to come to me in my office and sit in my office, she would be riddled with anxiety. It'd be all over her face. She'd probably break down crying. I got tissue boxes in my office.
Yeah.
And then I would calmly, just very calmly, look, if all of that is bullshit, then this is what we're going to do. I'd lay out the plan, and then I'd execute my plan, and then it will no longer be a thing. Whenever you're facing false allegations like that, that's the way you hit back, with evidence, with facts and evidence, and a plan to get both. And you impress upon the judge that, look, these claims are bullshit, and this is what we're willing to do to prove it. He should be willing to do the same. If he wants to subject her to that, we'll do it, but he's got to do the same. And then it's like, oh, well, I don't want to give up my constitutional rights. I want to fuck off with your claims and your bullshit. If you got actual evidence, then you should lodge it with the court. Otherwise, kiss my ass.
Does he look like a bitch?
Sometimes he does. Anyway, Schnitzel, do you have any comments about this? I feel like
I'm just taking it all in.
Yeah.
Still to see. I mean, it's terrible so far. I don't.
I told you this one was a hell of a case.
Yeah.
Let's get into some sovereign. By the way, I just outlined an entire plan how to deal with false allegations, and I dispelled them within a minute. That's the benefit of hiring an attorney that knows what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
If you represent yourself in court, you're going to try to make those same arguments, and you're going to be riddled with anxiety, and you're not going to be able to get out the words. Now, look, this lady has her own attorney. I'm sure that everything's fine right now, but this is a tale of her story about all these things that happened to her with this guy. Like, it just progressed this way. And if you're like a 22-year-old kid, you're not going to know, or maybe even have the means to step into like my office. Granted, like my consultations are for family law, especially for domestic violence, are free. If it's like civil cases, you want to sue people for money, it's different. But I give free consultations to people that are in trouble. Because if even if you can't hire an attorney, I could at least point you in the right direction and make you feel a whole lot better about your case and give you a roadmap on how to win. And I'm sure there's a lot of attorneys out there that would do that. There's others that wouldn't, I'm sure. But there's a lot that will. So I guess the point is you never know what lies underneath the dirt unless you dig. All right, so for years he was absent. Hey, Brad, how you doing, man?
I'm good.
You're even here. Now, what do you think about all this?
It's a wild story. I mean,
Yeah. Well, you missed the first part of it.
yeah, I missed the first part, unfortunately. But
First part was basically that he convinced her to leave her family and friends to live in with him. The very next day, he's arrested. He says, "Oh, it was a probation violation for possession of weed." Turns out it was a whole lot of other stuff, and that's where you came in, and then we got to all this other stuff. Now he's going after custody of the kid. I agree. There's probably an aspect of control and all of that because people are evil. You don't want to believe it. You don't want to believe it. You don't want to believe the depths of evil that exist in the world. But if you're only looking to cases of like murder and SH and those kinds of crimes, then you're going to miss out on all these other forms of evil that come from the same place.
I mean, when she comes into your office, even on your first evaluation, and she says, "Yeah, he got picked up for something," then wouldn't you go to subpoena his records and be like, "This is an
I
unsafe
wouldn't need to
environment"?
find it within 30 seconds.
Well, yes, but you would acquire those records in whatever way possible, and then be able to use that to say, "No, he can't provide a stable home for the children, and it's not in their interest."
Oh, you're jumping way ahead. But yes, that's true. We're talking about stable home. We're not even sure what homes we're talking about here. He's going for full custody. But yeah, if he's got a criminal record, if he's got a record of domestic violence, if he's got a record of violent crimes, it's problematic if you're asking for full custody because there's presumptions in place. One of them is if you're a violent felon, you shouldn't have custody of children.
Oh, and the kid is 7 now at this point. That's what I was looking for before.
Yeah. So I'll continue with this. For years, he was absent. There's no support, no consistency, no interest. Then 2 months after, I read that part. So he wasn't just an abuser. He was something worse, a sovereign citizen. When I say the word sovereign citizen, what comes to mind?
Oh, Brad, here we go.
Oh, I know exactly what comes to mind. Mr. Darrell Brooks from Waukesha.
Grounds. Your Honor, you still haven't proven subject matter jurisdiction for the record.
Is that a lawful order?
Is that lawful law? Your Honor, is that lawful law?
Oh my gosh. If you like nighttime streams, MG Law does a lot of sovereign citizen video review.
Oh, I've seen some of his streams. Yeah.
And it's just wild stuff. It's wild stuff.
MG Law should have me on his show, man. I want to talk about sovereign citizen stuff. Just the timing has never worked out. One day, someday.
Which is funny considering he lives in the plains, which means you would think it'd be easier to sync up with him.
I don't live in the plains. Well, the thing is, I think he streams at night and I stream at night. So
yeah, he lives in Oklahoma. So
Oklahoma. That's like the Dust Bowl of isn't that like the butthole of America?
It's certainly the Dust Bowl. I would not say it's the butthole.
What would you say is the butthole of America?
California.
Texas. Michigan.
What? Isn't Brad in Michigan?
Well, if
Yeah.
Florida is the wang, then obviously California is
boy.
the butt.
California is the wang.
Disagree.
Obviously, it's bigger than Florida.
Oh boy.
If you're picking between, never mind. What are we doing, Brad? Oh, all right, Brad. You come so far, man.
As
Isn't
he is, though.
I don't know. I mean, they try to sort of have this description of the sovereign citizen here, but isn't it mostly people who are like they try to be like super strict constitutionalists and they just ignore everything
Oh,
the
they
federal government has
oftentimes
done beyond the Constitution? Or...
they cite admiralty law a lot for some reason, which I don't understand.
They do everything in their power to claim that they are not a part of the country and then scream bloody murder when they feel like their rights are being violated. Well,
Oh my God, it sounds like a Republican.
Oh,
we're not going there.
It's
You look like a bitch.
not quite the same.
Yes, they do.
Oh boy.
Who the fuck are you to put me on trial? I've never even met you.
That's what Brad's saying to me right now.
Why'd you have to put me as a sandwich in between these two? Why'd you do that? What am
I mean, I'm sorry. I blame StreamYard here. Come up here with me.
Oh, boy. We're in
Everyone
trouble
missed
now.
a very long political discussion after Flad last week, but
Oh,
that's
we
neither
don't need
here
to
nor there.
revisit political discussions on Flad. We really don't. But after this show, maybe. No.
Oh boy.
Or Brad. I feel great about the economy. How about you? Never mind. You guys
Topic for a
got me
different
off
day.
track. Yeah.
Can I have my dividends back?
Oh, Bruce.
Well,
Sovereign
I
citizen-
used to work for a tech company that fired their CEO, and they just announced a new CEO, and I'm hoping they reinstate dividends.
That'd be good.
I will refrain my comments just because I'm going to get so derailed right now. I'm
my God.
focusing on sovereign citizen nonsense. This guy
Mhm.
was a sovereign citizen. For those who don't know, and by the way, if I see a sovereign citizen walk into court and they're on the other side of the V, it's still a term from the Lively case.
Mhm.
I go like this.
Squirrel.
Oh, I can't wait. Let's do this shit. I'm so ready. Oh, it's so much
I
fun.
mean, yeah, it's very apparent. Judges don't put up with their nonsense.
Well, they know it's big enough now where they kind of know what this is. Because before it's like, what the fuck are you even talking about? It come out like it's gibberish, but now the gibberish is turning. Oh, now you're doing the admiralty thing. You're doing the subject matter jurisdiction thing. You're doing the no named plaintiff thing. Okay, well,
Yeah, there's probably more judges ready for it now.
it's just it happens too much for us not to know what it is.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we've had to learn how to deal with sovereign citizens. Not that we didn't know before. It's just that when somebody brings it up for the first time, it's like, what in the fuck are you talking about?
But there's these crusty judges that are out there that don't even know what a YouTube is and haven't seen anything.
Are you talking about Judge Wiener or
Our
Judge
good
Duty?
friend Judge Duty.
Judge Duty,
Oh, boy.
I mean, any number of judges.
I wonder if he knows what. Well, never mind. All right. So for those who don't know, sovereign citizens are people who don't believe the law applies to them. It's not that they don't believe it applies to them. They believe it applies to them in a very different way. They refuse to acknowledge the government's authority. They flood the courts with nonsensical legal arguments. They use endless delays in paperwork to avoid consequences. And this is the kind of person who's allowed to fight for custody. Unfortunately, the family code in most states don't allow for logical fallacies to be grounds for stripping a parent of their rights to raise their child. To answer that question, he wasted months of my life filing legal gibberish. I would have sanctioned him. Like, Your Honor, I'm sick and tired of these frivolous motions. Under Family Code Section 271, I'm going to request sanctions because he's not going to stop. And then require him to pay your attorney fees and all kinds. Okay, so first he hires an attorney, then he fired them because the attorney is not going with the sovereign citizen
Yeah,
song.
that's a signal right there.
Yeah, so he could represent himself and stall the process. He got our hearing postponed because he had another court case in a different state. That's nonsense. I just had I set a domestic violence restraining order trial just the other day. And the argument for a continuance was, well, Your Honor, he's got a pending court case, criminal case. He has a right not to incriminate himself. And then the retort to that was, yeah, but that doesn't apply in family court, which is governed by civil law. And those Fifth Amendment protections do not apply here. And my client has just as much right to have a speedy trial as he does in his criminal case. And the judge agreed. He's like, yeah, well, fuck you. We're going to go. I don't care. If he doesn't want to testify,
Well,
he doesn't have
that
to.
sounds a little different. What if you had to appear in court for two different things in two different states on the same day? Isn't that a problem? How do different states deal with this?
Unlikely. But if in the case that was the case, then
It happened.
there's bodies of law that have priority. Like, for example, domestic violence cases usually take priority over other matters. Criminal matters always had priority over everything. So, and if that was genuinely the case, then fine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing this guy had a criminal case in another state based on his past.
But we would have, I would pull up the docket on the criminal case and say, Your Honor, he's a fucking liar. He doesn't have court on the, or you just, then we'll schedule it for a different day, the day after.
Yeah,
or
you
the
just
week after.
verify it, right? You just verify it.
This was actually something that was just brought up in the Nick Ricade case. Is
what's going on with him?
Well, do you want the full story or?
No, I don't, because I want to focus on this story. But what's the
short
gist?
version?
The short version was he got members of his church put in a child endangerment check. Then he went on a coked out stream that gave probable cause for a search warrant. They found 26 ounces.
Oh, I know why he's arrested, but what's going on with this case right now?
He's awaiting a plea hearing, but because they're accepting of the plea, so he's basically accepted it, but it needs to be like read in court, and he's waiting on that.
Is he having to admit guilt?
Yes, he's taking all the blame, but everyone else involved in the case is getting off scot-free.
What a good guy!
But he made mention of basically like a pseudo immunity that he was trying to get for the civil case or the family law case involving the kids to ensure that the things that he says for the family law case do basically become immune and cannot be used against him in the
it's smart
case.
But did it work?
Because he's pleading, I'm guessing no, but I think there is some kind of remedy there for that case, but I can't remember what he
in other words, it's like whatever comes out of whatever admissions from the family law case shouldn't be used in a criminal case because it's going to somehow endanger. I don't know. Another discussion for another day, but that's actually an interesting legal conundrum. All right, so he hires an attorney, fires him because he's not going with sovereign citizen bullshit. Gets the hearing postponed because he had another court case in a different state. His filings were filled with religious rants and conspiracy theories. I would say, Your Honor, if we're looking for signs of mental illness, could we just look at his pleadings? And then I would just read them out loud. As the final hearing got closer, he got more aggressive. He threatened to curb stomp my brother. I got text messages, by the way. Y'all want to see that? This is what was sent to her brother. I
believe it.
StreamYard link? Here it is. Allow me to. Oh, I don't want to. I'm going to have to, ain't I? All right, fine. This is the. Oh, I have to add them all again? Well, never mind. I'll do those later. I thought I had this all worked out. Turns out I don't. Turns out that I still need a Dominic in my life. Okay. So the curb stomped my brother threat. He harassed my mother's police department to try and get her fired. He publicly called the cops to be murdered. He once showed up at my house with a police escort just to get a reaction out of my husband. How is this man allowed to be in a courtroom fighting for my daughter? To which I would say, I kind of agree. I'd be like, look, emergency motion. We need to discuss the curb stomp threat to brother, harassing mother's police department to try and get her fired, calling for cops to be murdered. If you put that in writing, she's kind of right. How does that not just kind of.
I mean, the remedy is to document all of these things and make sure they're in.
Well, that's the thing. If he put it in
record.
writing, that's one thing. If he didn't put it in writing, that's another. Because then it's still he said, she said, right? That's the one question I don't have.
Mhm.
But I do have a number of text messages that I'm going to try to share with you guys. I want you to really think about this. A man who has been arrested over 100 times has the legal right to demand full custody. The legal right to demand full custody, sure, but he doesn't have any legal authority to be granted full custody, would be my argument to that.
Right.
A man who had a SWAT team called on him for holding an infant hostage, yeah. Guy belongs in jail. Can stand in the courtroom and say he's a fit parent. A man who hates the government, refuses to follow the law, has no history of being a responsible father, and is still being given the time of day in family court. Here's the thing about family court judges, man. I get frustrated with them at times, but there's some really good ones. There's some really good judges out there. I mean, you have to put faith that at the very least logic is going to make sense. I can't imagine a world where you wrote a supplemental declaration showing proof. I know she didn't ask me for legal advice, but I just can't imagine you couldn't write a supplemental declaration attached with exhibits of evidence that he's been arrested over 100 times, had a SWAT team called on him for holding an infant hostage. That would have resulted in an arrest.
Yeah,
That's
these seem like things that you would have good documentation and evidence
Yeah.
for. Right?
Hates the government. I feel like you probably have that in his pleadings already. He wouldn't be given the time of day in court. If this was one of my cases, she would have sole legal and physical custody until further order of the courts, until we could find a mechanism to give him, at the very least, supervised custody, because what the fuck? But also, she's in a different state than California, so I'm not sure.
I think the point here may be more that, okay, it's, even if this guy has no chance in hell of winning, he's still dragging this court process forward to get to the point of not winning, right?
Well, I could tell you this.
This is very reminiscent of the Owens v. Eckerd case, right? Like, we
Yeah.
know that she can't prove pregnancy and paternity, but she's just dragging it on,
Yeah.
doing an appeal. I think that's the point here, right? Like,
But
why-
even that case, there was an end game to all of that. At some point, they set a trial and forced them to produce evidence. And so at this point, I would not wait for a trial. I would just I would lodge with the court evidence of his arrest history and perhaps a brief memorandum of points and authorities about why somebody with this kind of a rap sheet is not legally permitted to have custody of anything. Children, a dog, let alone children. But granted, I don't know what happened preceding all of these things, but if this were one of my cases, this would be really easy to put a stop on all visitation until we have a trial about what's actually going on all this. At what point do we stop pretending that men like this deserve a second chance? At what point does the court say enough? He didn't have a second chance. He had 100 chances, is what it sounds like. Here's the truth. This isn't about his daughter. This isn't about being a father. This is about power and control. I have a list of 14 expert witnesses that would be willing to testify about this very fact. It's very well documented. He's not doing this because he wants to be a parent. He's doing this because he can, because of the power and control thing. Oh shit, is that well, I guess that's the end of it. That's the end of it. Let me share with you guys some of the stuff that she sent me. Well, cancel on that. Image files. Oh, I do have them here. Okay, so this is one of 3 of one of the text messages.
This is tough, right? Because Omar, this is just to confirm, this is somebody that watches the show in the
This is somebody that's in the chat right now.
Talk to.
Yes.
Damn. This isn't, a lot of times we read things on Reddit. We don't know if they're true, if somebody's just making up a story for Reddit points or whatever. This is real. And I feel like it's just a sad situation that these are things people have to go through. So
this is very heavily redacted. It says, I told the lawyer my custody case for blank. I am a non-citizen national. This is his rantings. born non-resident national of South something. Wales, South Wales. Natural. Child of YHY. I don't know what that even means. So was my daughter, with all right endowed and due to us, given us by the Elohim themselves. This is evidence of his mental illness, honestly.
Mhm.
And how I would go to prove that is that there is not any major fundamental religious philosophical writings that parrot this. This is his own mentally ill rants.
Spurging out, as it were.
The YHWH is Yahweh, which is like the sort of precursor to the Old Testament deity for
I
God.
learned it from Indiana Jones.
Well, that was the forbidden
Well-
word that Jews couldn't say because it's the name of God.
It's yeah,
Elohim?
it's like a Mesopotamian sort of thing.
Not Elohim. What was
It goes prior to the Old Testament, but that's where it came from.
Really?
Yeah. With all right endowed, this is his rant. And with all right endowed and due to us, given us by the Elohim themselves, do not put me down as a resident. And what they do, written just like that. I and my daughter were born natural of the soil, nationals of South. Redacted. They put me as a resident. I don't even reside in somewhere. These bats, you forced the driver's license on me, you falsely arrested me, you stalked me, you coerced me due to all the elements of the understanding. Invalid is what you have. All you have is invalid, unjust, unconstitutional. Not just me. I'm just one of the brave. For the public record, it's $500,000 fine for throwing me or my daughter into a commercial capacity. Using our names. Yeah, I'm pretty confident I could find an expert to testify that this guy is off his fucking rocker. I'm pretty confident in that. Let me share something else with you all. Where's the 2 of 3? This is the continuation of his shit. Here it is. Is it on screen? Man, I had it. Image file 2 of 3. Open. Is this it? Is this it? No. All right. Oh, here it is. I found it.
There we go.
So this is a 2 of 3. Using our names or our aliases fraudulently or through deceptive means and manipulative tactics. You have been warned and it is already on the record. You can't use fraudulent contracts to throw out into a synthetic machine. We are not a part of it. Force is not consent. You will not rape us any longer. You won't do mine as you have done to me. Not happening. You will destroy your towns playing with me, costing your taxpayers everything you violate me and mine. Imagine, hey, that's baby's daddy.
So, Omar, what's the context here? This was posted on Facebook, or this was DM'd to the person
This is
in
a
the story, or this was in a court filing?
This is a Facebook. I don't know if it's in the court filing or not. This was sent to me by the person that is a party to this case.
Mm-hmm.
It appears to me to be a Facebook rant.
Mm-hmm.
They're going on about you will destroy your towns playing with me, costing your taxpayers every time you violate me and mine. They need to get rid of you clowns out of office and put the real people in there. You serve yourselves.
Yeah. This looks like Facebook Messenger, by the way.
Yeah, I 100% could identify this guy, but I'm not going to for anonymity purposes. Just know that this is a real thing that was found on social media and should be an exhibit in family courts to highlight his mental illness. This is a mentally ill rant. Try to make sense of this. Good luck with that. I'm going to share another one with you. There is the 3 of 3. This is the conclusion of it, I guess. 1 and 2, 3. This is shit. Damn it. Oh, I swear to God, I've been doing this for like over a year now, and I still don't know StreamYard. I don't know what to tell you, folks. I don't know what to tell you.
It's
I
okay.
used to have Dominic, and now he's not here. Image file 3 of 3. Open. Here we go. He continues. So they put us on drugs in school before 10 years old. Yeah, amphetamines. And the doctor says it's okay. But in the medical field, the majority of those people go to school for money. They don't care. They really don't give a fuck about anyone but themselves. He continues. Yeah, he will juice you up so much. You get Alzheimer's. before 32. He appeared, Your Honor, I don't know anything about substance abuse, but this appears to be a guy that's readily familiar, and this appears to be the rant of a guy that's under the influence of narcotics. What are we doing? I would present this in court as evidence, like Exhibit C of his mental illness. There's others. She sent me also this one, 1 of 7. This was...
Yeah, this is a lot. Chemtrails have entered the chat.
Jesus.
I saw that in there.
Man? One. Do I have the 1 of 7 up here? Yes. Oh, it's on the screen right now. Really? You guys see this? Is this any different?
I see 3. I don't see.
Yeah.
Looking for 4?
I don't even know what I'm looking for anymore. I was looking for 1 of 7. There was like 2 separate things. I had this like more readily. I keep on hitting. Here we go. 1 of 7. Open that one.
I gotta put you in the streaming school of IT Goatee. I had to do the same thing with Reality Steve, and I told him, if you're gonna do pictures, put them all in a folder and then share the picture viewer so that you can left and right arrow to make it infinitely easier.
Dude, I should just hire you. You know what? I'm gonna do that. How about this?
That's how I do it, Brad.
Leave it to Brad, the IT guy, to show me the path.
I sometimes have good ideas.
Okay, so
my wife may, she might not believe me, but I do my best.
All right. Is that on the screen yet or no?
No, we're still seeing 3.
All right. I want to share this window. Share. It's supposed to be up, but I feel like it's not up for some reason.
It is not up.
She has to keep your ego in check, Brad. We're here to elevate you.
Oh, thanks, guys.
That's what wives are for.
Yeah.
I think y'all are just going to have to take my word for this one. You're just going to have to take my word. There's other pictures. There's pictures of stuff. Comment to brother. I'm just going to read this to you guys. So this is the comment to brother. It's redacted. I talked to you this year, and she was asking, when can daddy pick her up and make her to his house? You know, the house I'm building. You're an idiot. There's names in here. Every claim you're making is completely trash if I start posting from the messenger, then extorting me for money, saying I'll get to see her, send me some money, then block me. I've not been given an address for 4 years since I found out your slut-ass bloodline got with the clown they call Bozo. You're an idiot, my dude, 1,000%. I have to prove, he spelled prove with 2 O's, by the way. Nothing. The court record will do the talking now, boy. And I'm just right down the road. You want to have dinner? I know where some concrete sidewalks are. Are you really that hungry? Little boy, what are you, 135 pounds? Please stop humiliating your bloodline more than it already has done to itself. Isn't your hometown hero redacted? What, you want to call me KKK on me? That's all you got? And crooked cops like your mom calling me cops to me to search me in my car? That's literally a threat to curb stomp the dude.
Yeah, isn't that enough to file a
Police
order of
report.
Protection or something? Or what would you recommend in that case?
I would recommend a criminal order of protection, not just family court, a criminal order. Number one, it's not, I don't believe that it's family court eligible because they don't have the requisite relationship, but you could escalate that to criminal threats, which is a felony. And you have it in writing. Take that to the DA and let them do their thing. Anyway, that is the story. What do I think about all that? I think that you should be really careful about who you decide to make babies with, move in with, and especially nowadays. It is really, if you're thinking about moving in with a guy, it's worth like $20 to do a background check on the guy. It just really is. Because if he's got 100 arrests, you would have saw that because it's all available for public record. And I think that this story is illustrative of how I see these domestic violence cases evolve. It's always like, oh, love bombing at the beginning. to the point that it entices you to leave your loved ones and friends for the sake of what? The Cinderella happily ever after? You're going to live in a castle with your Prince Charming? Turns out the fucking guy got arrested the very next day. Not for possession of weed, for something much more nefarious. Turns out the dude's got an arrest record of over 100 arrests with a rap sheet a mile long. And he's a sovereign citizen. She didn't ask me for legal advice for a reason. I got to assume that her attorney's has this. He's got it. He's got
I
it.
would hope so.
I'm assuming that he's got it. I'm just saying to the extent
Or
that he
she.
or she. You're right.
They.
It could have been a she.
Them
I'll tell you
not-
what. The most vicious attorneys that I've ever run into in court, the one attorney that I fear the most in court, that I don't want to go up against in trial for any reason because of how bright
Myself.
she is a female. When I see that, it's like, oh shit. She is a beast in the courtroom, and she's like a genius level smart. So not only do you got to mind your P's and Q's, but you got to know the law at least as well as she does, because you're not going to know it better. And you just got to be on your game that day because you just don't know what's going to happen. And she's a female. I fear no men in court. Would
you fear Woodnick?
Oh, no, I wouldn't fear Woodnick because I feel like he's like a reasonable dude that we could probably come to a consensus on.
Mm-hmm.
I like dudes like Woodnick because like he's smart.
Yeah,
he knows
you could
the
see
law.
Woodnick talking to Corey Keith at the end of the February status hearing, and it was clear these guys were sort of like, okay, we're just here doing our jobs, and
Mm-hmm.
we have professional respect for each other, and
Right.
yeah.
I'll tell you what though, if I went up against Gingerbread, that's the kind of fucking guy that's like, oh hell yeah, we're gonna do this today.
How would you have handled? I know it's like too much to get into too much detail, but how would you have handled if you had been Woodnick, all of the filings and the behavior and everything? And of course, we don't know the behind the scenes BS as well. But
I think the most pimp move ever for Woodnick in this case would be that in this appellate brief that Gingerbread was hyping up for months, he's not even the guy that writes the opposition.
mm-hmm.
He lets his undercounsel write it. In other words, could you get some experience? Handle this guy for me.
You're not worth my time. I'm
not worth my time. I'm
Yeah.
gonna give
Also,
you
it's a special appeals guy they have in their office. It's like
Yep.
his specialty.
He
Might
has
be the
skills.
case.
That's the first lesson you have to learn as a manager is the lesson of proper delegation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Your best expert may not be you. You
Mhm.
put your best expert on the task that needs to be done.
I'll tell you this though. In reading the opposition to Gingerbread's brief, there are portions of that brief that Woodnick 100% wrote.
Oh yeah,
Ooh.
yeah. And then I think probably had to be edited a little bit from
Yeah,
what
like
he
he looked
probably wanted
over-
in there.
Yeah, but he let his associate write the majority of the opposition.
Mm-hmm.
But Woodnick, the guy that authored Rule 26, was it? I forget.
69.
Rule 69, totally.
You wrote that shit.
He was on a steering committee for Rule 26. I think that's what it was.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say
I mean, my
the most
understanding is that
clear-
the person with the most detailed knowledge of the case, in terms of the full case history, is probably Isabel.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Who was Isabel again? The lady that cross-examined Owens?
Oh my
No.
guy.
That's Deandra.
Oh.
Isabel was sitting at the computer with all of the documents to give to Woodnick.
Oh.
So before they got to appeal, a lot of the filings
We're at least drafted.
my understanding
her.
is that Isabel drafted or got started a lot of these things because she's the most familiar with the case.
Yes.
Let me just tell you how I would have handled Gingerbread. I think I would have tried to probably embarrass him in court with his lack of knowledge on the law. To fundamentally destroy his integrity and his credibility as an attorney before we even began proceedings with maybe a motion in limine, which Woodnick actually did at the very beginning of that hearing. Gingerbread was arguing some bullshit, and it just sounded stupid as fuck. What I remember of that when I was in Hawaii, watching that trial.
He was complaining about Mike Maricini being there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's like, Your Honor, I just want to point out that there is a protective order in place, and we have a subpoenaed officer, and I want it to be noted for the record, specifically for sanctions, that Gingerbread over here has called the FBI on a subpoenaed witness in this trial. I just want that noted for the record. Now, Woodnick didn't do that. He did other stuff, and they only had a couple of hours. So it's hard to say what I would have done with 2 hours of time.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't change anything that Woodnick did. I'll just say that.
Mm.
Woodnick is a G.
Heck yeah.
And a lot smarter than I. So there, if I were working in the same law firm as Woodnick, I would probably be his associate. So there's that. I would defer to him and his intellectual prowess. He's also been practicing for like 30 years, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's old as fuck.
He's old as fuck. Is he like in his upper
He's not 50 yet. I think he's like 48, 49.
Get the fuck out of here. Is he really?
Yeah.
Bro, he's
His
got
hair does him severe
disservice to him, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Is he only 48? I feel so
It's
old now.
48 or 49.
I'm 44. I got to share with Woodnick some diet secrets.
What a duo that would be, though.
Oh, he would bring me in. So I would be like Batman. Just give me the signal. I'll go in. I'll go in there and shit.
You have a special set of skills.
Yeah, I got a very particular set of skills.
Mhm.
Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. If you let this go right now, that'll be the end of it. I will not look for you. I will not pursue you.
We need like an MCU DC crossover.
Oh, boy.
But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
Because he looked like a bitch.
Oh, he will.
After I'm done with them.
In court.
Oh, in court. Oh, gosh. I'm oftentimes tempted to talk about my own cases on the stream. I'm refraining on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I just had a moment today. I had a moment, man. I will say that the day ended triumphantly because I won my trial. But earlier this morning, I'm just never mind. Okay. How do I get rid of this? Any final thoughts on this very rousing story?
I'm glad she has a lawyer.
Yeah.
I'm glad it seems like, if she's not asking your advice, like you said, her lawyer probably has things under control, but it's great that you are commenting too on different aspects, because it could be that they haven't thought of, something you said.
Yeah.
This guy has lots of problems, and I really hope he doesn't get any custody of the child.
I will say this, that oftentimes I litigate like a cowboy. I do things that feel good, that I go for haymakers. I'm not very pragmatic when it comes to my legal representation. I mean, I do that. I could do that thing, but I tend to have a particular style that's geared at making people look stupid. And so just because I say a thing, if another attorney approaches it differently, then all the power to them. I would not have approached it the same way as Woodnick, but I understand. He only had a couple of hours. And by the way, Redondo Beach with the $2, I'm assuming you'd advise against Facebook ranting. I would 100% advise against you putting any rant in writing that can be traced. It's a bad idea. I always tell my clients, if you need to rant to somebody, rant to me. Just send it to me in a text message and I'll edit it. And then when they send it to me, it's like, okay, do you feel better? Yeah. You still need to send it? No, I'm good. All right, cool. And that's how we deal with that.
I think these are DMs as opposed to like a public Facebook rant, but it's the same thing, right? Because
but it's in writing is the point.
Yeah.
But it says comment on the bottom, though. So that makes me think that it was public in some form.
You're right. Good catch.
Isn't that the messenger interface, though? Like
it's a mobile interface, but it's not the messenger interface.
It's not? It's got to be.
How do I get this shit off the screen, man?
Hit the share window. It should be removed from stage.
Yeah, this could be a public post. That makes it even worse.
Yeah. You know what? We're going to move on to our next case, and I'm going to see if that cures what's ailing us.
Yeah, it's definitely a public post because I just checked Facebook.
All right.
Yeah.
Here, let's do this.
Oh, boy.
Oh, okay, bye.
Got rid of all of us.
I'm removing everybody, and then I'm going to re-add you all. So that... No, I'm not going to remove the people. I'll remove this. Remove this.
Bye, guys.
I feel like this is what I was doing wrong. I was
We're
adding
in the zero dimension.
above stuff. Are you okay?
We are
Are we
stuck
back?
in the
We're
in-between space.
I know.
There we go.
Oh my
All right.
gosh.
Let us.
For the previous case, I just want to say, like, I think it's very like brave to put the case out there because
Yeah.
it's a good cautionary tale. Like the beginning with the control, it really reminded me of the Gabby Petito documentary.
Hmm.
Like, what if that guy hadn't gotten arrested for the weed or the crack or whatever? Like, you don't know where that would have gone.
Right.
So these
Yeah.
are red flags people have to learn about and look out for.
Schnitzel, what would you designate nowadays as a red flag if you were to stumble upon the single folks world looking for a mate?
Well, I'll say the last person I dated before my husband, we went on 3 dates and we had a lot in common and did like some activities that involved those commonalities, and it was a good time. But then he told me about his past relationship, and some of his behavior he told me about was red flag behavior, which was that they argued a lot. And he said they argued so much this one time that the girl pulled over on the side of the highway, kicked him out of her car, and he had to call his mom to drive like 2 hours to come pick him up on the side of the road somewhere.
Hmm.
And I was like, unless she's just like crazy psycho raging bitch, like something else was going on there. Like
Yeah.
you weren't innocent in this whole thing. And just the way he was talking about it, I was like, this is a big red flag for me. And my history of being in unhealthy relationships, I was like, this does not look like a good path for me to go down. So I ended things with him, and he got really, really angry and started saying mean stuff to me. And I was like, okay, like say what you want to say, that's fine, but my decision isn't changing. And
That's
then
the way to change your mind, isn't it?
I had to block him on all social media. So it was him opening up about his past, which of course I don't want him to feel like he was getting punished for opening up, but it was what he was telling me that was like, oh, doesn't sound healthy.
Erica P says short guys are a red flag.
Not on the latest season of Love is Blind.
Well,
True.
If you know, you know.
Jewel says if they're telling you, suggesting you don't wear certain things, starting to keep you from seeing people important to you or putting you down in any form, get the fuck out ASAP. Yeah, that's a red flag. I would agree.
You
with
might
that.
be adult.
I would say even talking about how important they are would be a red flag.
Yeah, narcissistic behavior
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Not interested in you at all, but wanting to expand on their, I don't know, whatever they think that they're doing. They're the masters of the universe.
Sure, like not asking questions about you.
Yeah, and
Getting
then telling you how to invest in crypto. Maybe that's a red flag.
Well, yeah, 100%. That would be a red flag. A weird one, but
What?
If they start telling you about like, well, Snow White says an ex-boyfriend who reaches out to you after like 20 years is a red flag. Is that a red flag or an opportunity?
I gotta say, my husband was an ex-boyfriend of like 20 years.
Well,
Yeah,
Well, maybe
I
not
mean,
20 years, maybe like
that
50.
may or may not be. It depends. It depends on how it goes down, I think.
the one time I played that game, it didn't end up. It ended up as a whatever it ended up as.
If anyone messages you from high school and they haven't talked to you since high school, then they might be asking you to join an MLM.
I got to tell you, man, I don't think I remember any of my friends from high school if they weren't like on the wrestling team or something. If we weren't teammates, I don't think I remember them. Like I've had people say, "Oh, I remember you from the high school, whatever." Like I have no fucking idea who you are. Who is this person?
I had that happen to me one time. It was from like this summer thing I did. So I didn't go to school with this person, but I ran into them in like a big city, and it was just to be recognized there by someone and they're like, oh my god, you remember, like, hey, Schnitzel Ninja, you remember we went to this program together? And I was like, no.
I don't remember that
But
shit at all.
I said, oh my god, yeah, it's so nice to see you.
You say
Mm.
the nice thing. Yeah.
I didn't want her to feel bad, but I did not remember her.
You want to know the worst one? The worst one? I have the worst of all of these stories. So this guy that I knew in high school, I vaguely remembered him. He looked old as fuck. He had like a beard. It was like all, I don't know. He just looked old. And then he was with some lady. And I'm like, oh, is this your mom? It's like, no, I'm the girlfriend. I was like,
Ooh.
I'm so sorry. I'm
Wait,
so
where was
sorry.
this? Was
So
this at a
sorry.
high school reunion?
Where were
Ran
we?
into him?
I don't even remember where we were.
Ugh.
I think I was just out and about. Like I was like 34, 35. He was about the same age, obviously, because we were the same graduation class. He's with this lady, and I said that, oh, is this your mom? And she just gave me this look.
No,
This
Omar.
look.
Are you
And
the
it's like,
kind of
wow.
guy who's like, hey, congratulations on your baby bump?
Yeah,
To
you
like
No.
any
you
woman
I
who-
don't
never
make
assume
those
someone's
assumptions. I
pregnant,
do
and you
not.
never assume anything about a woman. Like,
But could I
unless
just
it's
say in my
like,
defense? Could I just say in my
unless it's
defense?
clearly the lady's mom, and you're like, oh, it's nice to meet your sister because you're obviously doing that thing.
Exactly.
I was just in a
The
look.
only thing you can do, Omar.
I had a long day at work. I had, I was tired, and there's this
Red flag.
older looking lady. I made the assumption that she was his mom. Was it this? I could have been like, oh, like all flirty or like charming to this lady, and be like,
You should have said,
oh,
hey, how was the Great
is
Depression?
this your daughter?
Oh, wow.
I was a great. So tell me about flour pancakes, flour and water, huh?
I was standing in the bread lines.
Oh, tell me about potato
Oh,
soup. Tell me about well, never mind.
Is
Water
your
pot.
bowl dusty?
I'm in
Oh, my
danger.
bowl's dusty right now.
What? Are you,
The dust
are you
bowl.
dowsing for water? What's going on?
The fuck are we talking about, folks?
Dowsing rod.
Your red flags.
I don't douse your rod. No, I won't. Never, Bruce. Let's just erase that from the ether.
You finally got us right for once.
I know.
I will
I'll
not
take
be
it.
dousing any rods.
I was like, wait a second. He wasn't talking to me. I'm so happy, Omar. We've made a breakthrough.
You know,
We're getting,
last
we're
week,
getting there. We're getting there.
Bruce, when you were not on the show, I asked Brad, hey, Brad, what's your number? And then Brad was like, huh?
What?
Red flag.
That was last flag or the last flag.
That was like a
You
week
didn't call
ago.
him by my name. I mean, we're improving. Baby steps.
Oh, hey, folks, this show needs to be more popular, man. What the fuck?
Hey,
We only got
I
50
have to
minutes
hop off.
to-
My kid just threw up.
Oh,
shit.
that's good.
But
Yep, I had that
sorry.
happen to mine. No, you're good.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, we will
You guys-
continue without you. If you get that situated, we'll probably still be on.
too
Okay.
much steam off.
All right. See you guys later.
All right. Take it easy. All right. Let us get into this next story. So
Mhm.
it's this great story. I should probably share it, huh? Or it's already shared. I read the most amazing story on here about honestly a woman I don't know, but damn, her strength was beautiful and graceful, a complete inspiration. The husband is the one that posted the story as he was going insane after 2 years missing his ex-wife. The story is basically her husband cheated on her and she didn't say anything. One day he comes from work to find divorce documents on the table with a note underneath that says, "This is what you do with cheaters." She left her husband, never talked to him again, changed numbers, left job, moved overseas. Only connection husband had was through her lawyer.
She went full passport, bro.
Wow.
She was probably from the
Impressive.
Philippines to begin with, or Thailand.
I don't know.
Hey, Bruce, are you
Maybe
looking?
maybe her grandmother was Irish. We don't. We don't
Are you attracted to the prospect of a Filipino or Thai resident from Thailand wife?
what?
I heard they're looking for husbands. It's a thing.
I want to be like I want to be an export. I want to be a Canadian husband.
Expat.
Oh, I don't know, the tariffs and stuff. I don't know what to tell you, Bruce.
I know it's tough. It's tough out here for a moose in the United States.
The husband tells the story 2 years later how he found out she moved to Norway, married a man there, was pregnant, found this out through detective work on his own because she ghosted him fully. All he had going on in his life was sadness and regret, wishing to one day hear his ex-wife's voice again to apologize and see if he can try to win her back. Not happening for sure. Well, this woman is amazing. I wish I had followed those footsteps when I found out of my soon-to-be ex-wife. Spine of steel, self-respect. This woman doesn't know it, but she changed my life. Her story changed my life. She is the roadmap to my life going forward and not tolerating disrespect. And if anyone ever disrespects me in a relationship, again, they won't hear me pleading, begging, trying, nothing. They will just be dropped without explanation, and I'll just move on completely, blocking them. Are you also going to move to Thailand? I hear it's a pretty good retirement
I don't
place.
know where
like,
they
really.
went.
I mean, I don't know.
STBXW sounds like one of these multi-artist musical festivals in the desert or something.
Oh, sounds like some music that I'm just not into.
Right?
What do you think, Brad?
Yeah, it sounds like it, or it looks like South by Southwest, but that's a whole lot more letters than what it could be.
I don't think it's that, Brad. Just for the record.
I mean,
Anyway.
you
It
said
was soon to be ex-wife. There we
I
go.
mean, we know what it is. I'm just
Oh,
making fun of it.
Could I just be the first to say good for that lady and who gives a fuck? I'm out. I'm done. I'm done with that story.
I mean, it didn't have a question.
No, it
It's
was just
like,
telling me about a story
look,
about a lady that
if you're gonna burn your bridge, burn the whole fucking bridge.
yeah, burn the whole
Okay.
fucking bridge. Okay.
Sounds good.
Here is one. It's short enough, so I'm going to read it. Again, these are user submissions, which I'm very happy to get. It's really hard for me to go and search and find content, so I'm always grateful when somebody just sends me something they want me to look at. And that last post was an example of one. And it's like, so what do you want me to say to that? Good for her, I guess. She made a decision and stuck with it. This one says that my husband has decided we have a sexless marriage. Let me ask you two, how would you guys define a sexless marriage? Would it be, okay, obviously no sex is one thing. What if it was like sex once or twice a year?
I think there's a government body somewhere that has defined a sexless marriage. You should Google it. It's like less than once a month or something.
I will never let the government ever
There's-
define anything for me. How about that?
I mean, I'm just saying, if you want someone who's already thought about it, the government has already thought about it, which I find interesting.
I just don't. I'm not with governmental definitions anymore. I'm on my own. That's how I'm looking at it. Brad? How would you define a sexless marriage?
I mean, if you're getting something for your birthday, that's pretty bad. Or if the only thing you're getting is for your birthday, then that's pretty bad.
You ungrateful motherfucker! How dare you turn down your birthday present? I'm kidding. By the way, I asked AI. AI says a sexless marriage, also known as a platonic or dry marriage, is a marital union characterized by minimal or no sexual activity between the spouses, regardless of the reasons. So if I told you that there is people out there having sex every week, once a week, some would classify that as a sexless marriage. If I asked you that some people were having sex every month or every 6 months, some people will classify that as a sexless marriage. And so my question to you guys, I feel like this is a subjective question. I will not allow the government to define it for me. How would you guys define it? The fuck is a lavender marriage?
I would
Oh,
say,
yeah.
I would say, if it's less than once a month, then it's probably a sexless marriage.
Lavender or dry? You guys are no help.
This is complicated.
Well, it is complicated because there's different stages of marriage. There's different stages of life.
I think it's a bit of a red herring because
Sort of. I agree.
we are presented with a term, and now it's like, oh well, let's define the term. Why do we need to define the term? We really don't. Here's
Well,
the thing.
because we
people
need to
have
define it.
different what they want.
Well,
If
we need
I
to define
don't
it
get what I
because
want, it's a non-starter. So it doesn't matter what the quantitative definition of some arbitrary term is. What matters is when you're talking about two people, whether or not they are getting what they want.
it becomes an issue when one person arbitrarily decides to define it for their partner. Such as the title of this post. My husband decided we have a sexless marriage.
That's why we have to read the story.
Yes. So I'm at a loss. I'm less than 1 year postpartum. My job, we need schnitzel for this one.
Less than 1 year. There's a whole lot of leeway in less than 1 year.
Oh boy.
Is it 8 months? Is it a year?
I
Because
know. We need
Is
to read
there
the
a
story.
lady that wishes to jump on stream? Because I need female energy for this one.
Oh,
I
boy.
can't rely on a freaking sausage fest that's going on right now. Some brave soul. Let me know if somebody in the comments wants to do it. Otherwise, I'm just going to go in. So I'm at a loss. What were you saying, Brad? You were saying something about huh?
Well, I was saying it depends on what she defines as less than 1 year postpartum. So is it like in the month after? Because that's generally it's 4 to 6 weeks.
I'm assuming she doesn't mean that.
Yeah,
I'm just
less
gonna
than
assume
1 year could be a wide range.
that they have passed the threshold where sex is now safe. I'm just going to make that assumption.
Yeah. So
let's read the story before we make assumptions.
Okay. So I work full time and am the primary parent most of the time during the work week. I'm in therapy. I've been on antidepressants. I'm exhausted in every way. I believe that. Even though we have sex 4 to 5 weeks ago, I initiated. It was spontaneous. It was something I haven't done in a very long time. Sometimes it be like that.
You know what? I don't have to answer to you.
Right? He told me today that now he has confirmation that we have a sexless marriage because I can't change fast enough for him. He told me that my lack of intimacy and lack of sex has been a problem for almost 10 years. He has stopped all intimacy with me and has stopped initiating sex beyond saying I'm always down to have sex. I am tracking some things. We're looking at couples counseling. He has no desire to go for himself. I'm spiraling. I don't know what a sexless marriage means. Does that mean he's going to go find sex somewhere else? My trauma around abandonment is getting incredibly triggered. Does anyone have anything hopeful to say? I'm terrified this is the beginning of the end. TLDR, husband believes our marriage is sexist despite knowing about medication and life events that impact libido. Husband cut off all intimacy. I'm going to just go out on a limb. I'm going to go out on a limb before either Brad or Bruce says anything. Or should I refrain until after you all speak?
No,
What
go
would
ahead.
be more respect? Okay. I think that the guy is not really any longer attracted to his wife because of the changes to her body. And I think that if I'm reading this correctly, there was a spontaneous event 4 to 5 weeks ago. So it's not that he doesn't have the desire to do that. I'm willing to guess, because she's not saying that he's trying to initiate and she's turning him down. Nobody's initiating. It sounds like if she doesn't initiate, then nobody's initiating. I'm just going to go out on a limb and diagnose that this might be a porn addiction or a mistress. And I don't want to jump to mistress because everybody criticizes me. Oh, you think everyone's cheating. All right, fine. But I'm just going to suggest that maybe he's getting what he needs elsewhere. What do y'all think of that?
Well, those are certainly plausible, but the one thing is it could be a matter of how many times do you get denied before you stop trying?
Well, how would you answer that question?
I think we're missing a lot of context for this 10-year period that's mentioned here.
Right.
Okay? So you're talking about something that happened 4 weeks ago. Okay, yeah, maybe that spurred this guy on to say something. But if there's been a problem for 10 years, I want to know what that problem is. I don't think this pregnancy, I think, suddenly having a kid is probably like turning the wheels here.
Well, I could tell you this.
For 10 years, I want to know what it is. Is it that this guy's always this guy wants to do something every X period of time, and she doesn't, and they have mismatched libidos.
Could I just? This is what I've tracked. Whenever somebody claims sexless marriage, it's because they are continuously being turned down for sex.
Yeah.
I have no evidence that this guy is trying to initiate sex, which leads me to believe that him defining his marriage as a sexless marriage is an excuse to do other things. I feel like this guy's probably addicted to porn or strip clubs or whatever. Maybe he's got a affair partner. I don't know, man. But it doesn't track for me.
Well, we don't know that. I mean,
I'm completely speculating. You're right. I
a lot
could
of
be way off.
speculations. I think he's, maybe he read something on Reddit and he's like, I have decided that this has been the problem for 10 years. I just didn't know what to call it. And now he's got a label for it. So he's got some power because they couldn't communicate about it properly beforehand. Like Snow Wonder says in chat, they should have been talking about this earlier, but obviously these things can be hard to do. And it may have just been one of these things that builds up internally, right? To the point where you finally, maybe they had sex 4 weeks ago and it wasn't really amazing. And he's just snapped and he's like, this is the situation I'm in. I finally realized it in my conscious brain. Now I'm going to do something about it.
Well, let me share with you one of the greatest pieces of advice I've ever received. It's from a gentleman who was in his 80s. And he said that one of the biggest mistakes you could ever do in a marriage is waste a hard on. If you're hard, then fucking go at it. You know what I mean?
What?
Hear me out. I'm tracking the fact that I don't have any evidence that this guy's not initiating anything. Generally, when men have an erection and they have a woman sleeping right next to them, they will initiate in the middle of the night or the morning. It happens to be a very common annoyance of lots of women that live with men. Like, could I just go to sleep without getting poked by something like in the middle of the night? Jesus. If there's no evidence of him doing anything like that, I just have to be led to believe the guy's getting it somewhere else. Maybe it's a medication issue. Maybe it's a health issue. Maybe he's got ED. I don't know. It's hard to speculate, but I'm just saying if he's classifying it and I'm not tracking the fact that he has a lack of erections as like a thing because I don't know what that is.
This is why I'm saying we don't have enough context on the 10 years. He may have done exactly what you're talking about for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And she may have rejected him for those 2 or 3 years to the point where he doesn't even bother anymore. 10 years is a long time.
How many times would you be rejected by the same woman before you gave up? That's a serious question to both of you because you're both men.
I don't think it would take that long.
But it's honestly, if I try, because I've seen stories of guys who have made spreadsheets. It was like, I've tried to initiate sex all year, and
I remember
these are the reasons why.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, I've got a headache, or oh, I'm just not in the mood, and it was something. It was, I'm pulling this number out of my butt, but it was something like 80% denial.
It might have been more than that.
But it was just interesting because what do we poll chat? All of the ladies in chat, would you like to be woken up to pleasure your husband in whatever way possible? Put a 1 for yes, put a 2 for no.
What the fuck kind of question is that, Brad?
I'm asking for a reason.
Are you asking for could we define what kind of pleasuring you mean? There's one of 3 orifices.
You're engaging in
what are you asking
sexual activities that one would loosely be able to say that you are not in a sexless marriage.
Wait, so 1 is yes and 2 is no?
1 is
You're not
yes,
being creative
2 is no.
enough, Omar.
There's 4 holes? Son of a bitch.
Want to get technical. Snow wants a restate of the question. If you're sleeping, do you want to get the tap on your shoulder that says, hey, are you awake? Or, hey, do you wanna?
Could I answer that guy from? Could I
Maybe
answer
he
that
could
question?
vary up his initiating technique or something. I don't know.
I'm gonna answer this from a guy's perspective because I know the women are all about it right now. But if I were to be waking up to pleasure anybody, my wife, I don't think that I would wake up. Matter of fact, from what my wife tells me, that she's trying to wake me up, and I'm like a bear. I'm like hibernating, and so there's that.
Oh boy.
And in the times that I could remember, it's not that I would like deny it outright. I would just like, well, I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess it depends on what level of sleep you're rousing your spouse from.
So, I've seen a little bit in between, a mixtures of ones and twos, and even a 1.5. The reason I ask is because I have that problem. Because I've been beaten over the head with media and culture saying how terrible it is to be the guy to go, hey, you awake? And I try and prioritize my wife's sleep and well-being over my pleasure.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're getting caught up on the, okay, it's nighttime or whatever. Like, there's 24 hours in a day. I think the more important part is when these people got together, or as they've been together for over 10 years, are they in sync communicating about, in general, on a long-term average, what do they want? Because it's not like, what do you want right now? It's like, what do you want on an average? Because that's where you're going to get into this place where the guy's like, hey, we have a problem. Okay. It's not going to be because one time something didn't happen right or whatever. It's, are their rates mismatched, the frequency rates mismatched over a long period of time? That's where you get into a problem.
And the other problem that you're going to run into is, okay, you've explained your expectations, and now the other person, it becomes scheduled. It becomes not as spontaneous, and it becomes a chore.
Hey, Brad, could I point something out? From your poll that you requested, there's only one person that said no. And it's this one on screen right now. Everybody else is like, fuck yeah.
Well, we had a 1.5.
I see Jackie Graham. She said no. Nicole said no.
I was just looking for the ones and the twos.
Said nope.
Winks said no.
Crow just said, you know what? Just tap it in. I don't know what tap it in means, but that's what she said.
Redondo Beach said dry ew, so we got to at least be moist.
Well, no, you gotta prime the engine. You know what I mean? You gotta, come on, man.
I'm not saying go in like it's the Sahara Desert, but you got to give the little back rub to make
it Operation Desert Storm, bitch.
Answer to you.
I think we're getting in this red herring because people get tired.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And when you get tired, the normal rules don't apply.
Yeah, if you're conscious is one thing. If you're like woken up from like REM sleep, fuck off, dude. Like you're just like in a dream, like flying over like Venus or something. I don't know.
I was on a boat with Johnny Depp, and you just took me away from it. Now I can never go back.
And now I got to look at you. It was going to be Johnny Depp, and now it's you. Fuck. Crow says, push it in then. All right.
Fine ship, set sail.
Have we answered? What are we doing with this question right now? Husband decides we have a sexless marriage.
What's the question at the end?
Yeah, the question is, does anyone have anything hopeful to say? I would say that if it's really a sexless marriage, look, it's really hard to put that responsibility on one person. For a man to put that on his woman, that she has to be the one to initiate all the time. It's one thing if he's initiating and she keeps on denying. That's one thing. I just don't have the impression that that's the case.
Yeah, we don't know because they haven't included the details.
Yeah, but I feel like
he's claiming there's been a problem for 10 years. We don't know what her response to that is, really.
Yeah. I guess my answer would be different if I knew if she was denying him at all. Like if he's like 5 times a week getting denied, then that's kind of tough on your soul after a while. But if he's never initiating and she never has the opportunity to deny and he's just declaring it a sexless marriage, that's kind of bullshit because now he's putting all the responsibility on her. And I'm just willing to guess if that's actually the case, he's getting his rocks off somewhere else.
What if the former, where he was getting denied and denied and denied, happened at the beginning and he just gave up, and now he's finally saying something about it?
Yeah, men sound differently when that happens. Men don't. When I've seen that happen, men don't declare, "Oh, this is a sexless marriage." They go silent. They stop talking about it. They don't raise the issue anymore with their wife. If they're going to move on, they've already moved on. But they're no longer looking for that from their spouse.
What if this is his way of moving on?
Maybe it is, and I don't know him well enough to definitively say.
Yeah.
But in my experience, whenever guys have told me that, they've already moved on, and they stop talking about that with their spouse because they're not getting anywhere. It's like hammering, beating their head into the wall. There's nothing to be gained with further communications on that regard.
Oh boy.
So there's that. So I'm just going to conclude we don't have enough information to say one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Omar, I just shared something if you want to bring it up.
Oh yeah. Where's it at?
In the bottom.
Here we go.
Yeah, I think her original question about what does this mean is kind of a red herring. She just needs to figure out if her and her husband have different frequencies of what they want and
Not
if
mine.
they are matched or mismatched. Oh, geez.
That's not mine.
This was the spreadsheet.
Oh,
I,
well, what is
I
it then?
remember this, Brad,
You.
because Reddit was on a firestorm when this came out.
Yeah.
What am I looking at here? Oh, somebody charted on a spreadsheet. This is so a Bruce thing to do.
You're sharing the text messages from earlier.
This wasn't me. I see the
You guys
spreadsheet.
not seeing the spreadsheet?
No,
I see the spreadsheet, Brad.
Do you guys see the spreadsheet or you guys see something else?
I'm seeing the.
I think everybody's seen the spreadsheet.
I'm seeing the spreadsheet.
Brad, you did something wrong, man. I don't know what you did, but I can't help.
All right, it looks active on the one side, but
Column B for sex.
yeah. So
No,
we got
I'm watching
date
the show
2014
Friends
June 3rd, and it
I'm
said
sweaty
sex
and
no.
gross. I need a shower.
I'm watching
Hey.
the show Friends rerun.
Quick mail poll. Do you care if your wife is sweaty and gross? If you're like wanting it?
Well, if I'm the cause of it, then no.
Shower. Well, you could go shower together. Hey-o.
Yeah, I mean,
You guys are both fucking
What?
gay. How about that?
What? I don't want to shower
You're the
with
one who's got a
Brad. I
problem
want to
with
shower
BO.
with the sweaty and gross lady.
I mean, natural pheromones. Come on, man. Sometimes you just got to be a caveman. Sometimes you just got to fuck it. I don't give a shit.
anyway.
Literally.
So apparently,
One was a no nonverbal. One was
Nope.
no, I'm exhausted. Okay.
Yep. Then
One
yes. Woo!
successful. Okay. Woo. No, I'm still a bit tender from yesterday.
Dang, man. How are you gonna? How?
The next day.
Then no.
Whoa.
I'm trying to watch the movie. Fell asleep 15 minutes later.
Nonverbal, no.
He got no-goed on Netflix and chill.
That's when I'm like, you know what?
Here's the problem. You've got this guy that wants to have sex every day almost, and then you've got a lady that wants to have sex once a week or something
There's
like
nothing
that.
wrong with like
every other
putting
week
stuff
or
on the
whatever
back burner. Let stuff fester. Let
What?
stuff build up.
But
It doesn't
like,
have to be like an everyday obligation,
but we're at a point. We're looking at once we don't have anything before the June 3rd, but if we assume that it was no prior to that, then his only 2 times getting laid is the 10th and the 27th. That's
That's
twice
twice
in
a
a
month.
month.
That's
Twice a
better
month.
than this other
Right.
guy's doing or this lady is doing.
Some people that might be fine for them.
Yeah.
Everybody is different. Here's the problem. Everybody's different. Some people once a month would be fine. Some
Let me
people
ask you a
once a
question.
day is fine. Some people have a range. The point is you want to figure out what your frequency is and be in sync with your partner about that. That's the only thing you can do. Otherwise you're in trouble and you'll end up making spreadsheets at some point.
Bruce,
What?
Brad, if you're in your 60s and your wife only wants to have sex a couple times a month,
Oh,
are
boy.
you going to declare a sexless marriage, or maybe she just needs to rest? Fuck, maybe she just needs to recover.
I'm probably right there with her, so I'm not going to be that big of a. I'm not going to
That's
be
what
that.
I'm saying. Like this, the problem this guy has. I'll tell you right now, without even knowing this
We
guy,
don't know how old these people are.
the fact that he's charting it on a spreadsheet is mistake number one. That means that he's way too invested in this.
Well, this Yeah, this story is different than the other story,
I
but
don't think he's way too invested. It's like the bathroom in the house. If you're going to go buy a new house, because I might sell my house and buy another house. You look at houses, right? If you have a house, the bathroom in the house you're buying is not the most important room in the house. But if
Okay.
if there is no bathroom in your house, you have a huge problem.
right.
Okay. So the bathroom is not the most important in the house. It's not the reason you buy a house. Okay. But if the house doesn't have a bathroom, you have a big problem.
Well,
And
then
that's
this
where
is
this
his
guy
problem.
is. He has a big problem and he's making an Excel spreadsheet because his house has no bathroom.
His problem is this, Bruce. His problem is he's watching the water boil.
Yeah.
You can't watch the water boil. You're gonna have a bad time. If you really want to have a good time, you put the water on boil, you let it simmer a little bit, you give it some time, you come back to it when it's ready, then when it's boiling, then
I
you
get it.
what you
I
gotta
get it.
do.
That's why context matters. We got to understand if this is where he's at after 10 years or after 5 minutes. Like, I don't know. That's why
Or after
context
like
is
the
important.
honeymoon phase of marriage, I don't know. But the quickest way to kill a libido in your partner is to like make it a big deal that she keeps on saying no every single day. Then it's like it becomes like a thing.
Yeah.
And now it's just, counterintuitive.
Well, the thing is, if you know the frequency that you desire, and you know the frequency your partner desires, and you know that, and you're okay with the frequency that your partner has, then you won't be getting rejected every day because you'll already know.
Now,
Hey, Lauren
going-
with the $5 says, look at these 3 hot ladies on my screen. Gotta go, LYLAS. Hey, Lauren, I just want to declare that I have a bigger penis than you. How about that?
I feel emasculated now.
I think we need the judges to get a ruler on that.
I will
So
break out the measuring tape.
So one of the contacts behind the spreadsheet guy is
Yeah.
that he's 26 and his wife is 26.
Okay.
So does that change your calculus at all?
Oh,
Because
they're not
it's
60.
not they're not 60.
Well, here's how it changes. People who are 26 on average are kind of dumb. It's not that they're dumb; they don't know anything, and so they're fixated on the wrong things.
He knows how to
long.
open Excel.
Well, you make a spreadsheet.
Every good man knows how to open Excel.
Maybe not.
Could I move on to the next one? I got one more before we could wrap up the show.
Fine, Omar.
I don't know if we solved anyone's problem with that, but
I don't know what to tell the guy, man. Stop jerking off to porn. How about that? That's my advice to him. I suspect that's what's going on.
the
And I'm just
original post with the postpartum.
The
wife?
original post. Yeah, the postpartum wife. I think this was going on. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I'm just going to go out on a limb. I'm declaring that's the issue.
Oh boy.
Hold the phone. This was 15 hours ago?
Oh yeah, people post stuff like every day.
Well,
And
yeah, I'm familiar with
The
Reddit.
posts are
but-
ongoing.
So
Yeah.
me and my husband got married a week ago.
March 8th.
Oh,
Yeah,
boy.
that is a week ago.
Hey Brad, do you want to read this one? Because he seems like
I love
you're
it.
really excited about it.
I think what we're really learning is Omar does his homework for the show like 5 minutes before the show starts. That's what we're learning, I think.
Well,
That's
except for the one that was sent to me like a couple of days ago, where I was making sure that it was going to remain anonymous. You know what I mean? But yeah, the whole point of the show is I get these Reddit posts. They're sent to me. I skim them and then I read them in real time. I feel like that's kind of the appeal,
It's good.
or part of it. I don't know. Would you guys rather I just be like super prepared and I've been ruminating on these issues for a couple of weeks? I could do that kind of a show too. I guess the choice is up to the
No,
people.
feel unprepared.
We don't need you pulling out the case law as to why this is a problem. We prefer the well lubricated opinions of a lawyer after work.
Well, we are well lubricated. So, all right. This guy wants to know if I am the asshole. All right. So me and my husband, we got married March 8th this month. Just a week, 5 days ago,
6 days ago.
6 days ago. Before this, we had ups and downs, but I never doubted that he was the one for me. We've been together since November of 22. I blocked my best friend for him. Oh, the sacrifice we made.
That's a shocking detail to just come out at the end of a
Oh,
paragraph.
children nowadays. Today, I found out he's been watching porn. We had an agreement. It was cheating to both of us.
Uh-oh.
I want to get a poll from the audience.
Wait.
I feel like most of the audience is over 30. Most of
Your
the answers are over 30.
AI overlay is covering everything.
Oh, never
Maybe
mind.
it's
Well,
supposed to be.
sometimes it's necessary because I got to improve on these writings, to understand them sometimes. This one's okay though. But
Yeah.
do you consider it cheating if? Well, let me ask you, men. Would you consider it cheating if your significant others were like jacking off to porn every night?
Are you
Yeah.
asking us?
I wouldn't.
I'm asking you, the men on stream.
What?
I can't ask Schnitzel because she is tending to her child.
Wait, what is she doing? She's
Would you consider it infidelity if you found out that your wife was, flicking the bean every night?
every
to porn?
night?
Well, every other night or some reasonable amount. I don't know.
You
Whatever
go
you.
3 times a week and you're not involved.
Seems fine to me.
The hell does that mean? I don't think that I would be offended, honestly. If it was every night, that's kind of a deal. But like, every now and then, what do I
Well,
give a
right,
shit?
but 3 times a week isn't every now and then.
Well, specifically every other day, but like every night is every night. Okay, so what would be an acceptable amount to you? Rob says no, jacking off is not cheating. Chronic masturbation.
It's
Rob,
interesting.
I'm kidding, Rob.
my opinions on this are jaded by my personal faith, so it's not really something that I can
all
make a
right.
statement on.
Jaded? What does that
Let's just
mean?
assume.
Like
let's just-
someone
let me-
wait, does jaded mean someone's told you to believe something, but you don't think you actually believe it? Like, why do you say jaded?
do you believe that spanking your wank is a sin that will condemn you to the depths of hell? You will be burned in eternal fire for your lust, young man.
We
My
don't have to
problem-
litigate Brett if he's uncomfortable about it. By the way.
My
totally kidding,
problem was that I was well acquainted with my happy friend for decades. And I had periods of time where I was very sincere about my faith, and there were periods where I wasn't sincere about my faith. And
Look at Crow.
even
She's all-
during those times, it became a personal issue of self-regret, and it eventually led to a point where I no longer do it. But it's just it's something that I personally had to combat.
Yeah. What if I were to suggest to you that we're allowed, for the purpose of hypotheticals, to subtract religion and religious dogma from the equation? How would that change your analysis?
I would say that it would be nice to have a wife that is in tune with her sexual needs. And that could be a motivating factor for me to try and involve myself in her needs if she's a long-term partner of mine.
Well, it seems to be that the general consensus is that, Crow, I'm not sure what Crow means about deep issues. And she also had an eye roll comment earlier. And then she says, it's going to fall off. If you wank it, it's going to fall off. Just so you know, Brad.
What?
Well, 20 years of wanking it, and it didn't fall off, so I'm good. And I didn't go blind.
Cheating.
I would say
cheating.
The thing I might add here is that sometimes there's sort of like, I think the idea is physiologically, you might just want to like.
Sometimes you just need to get one out, or you're going to
You
get
just want to
prostate
take
cancer.
care of business.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're with someone else, you're in a relationship, and it's more about the relationship than a physiological thing.
Well, here's the
So
thing,
I
man.
think if you can understand that there's these two things, then it could.
There's people that'll say that jacking off without porn isn't a sin, but then there's also people that say that regardless of whether there's porn or not, it is a problem. So there's still varying levels of the spectrum
There's also
regarding it.
people that say that it is better to gouge out your eyes lest you look at another woman lustfully
Well,
and covet
sure.
thy neighbor.
Oh boy.
So let's just say, okay, I don't want to get like a whole religious thing. I'm just going to say, for the purpose of this question, let's just assume these people are not religious. They don't have any of those rules. Is it cheating or not? I think the general consensus is no. There's a few that disagree, I think.
I mean, it's a bit of a rabbit hole because wait, Sarah says totally what? I don't know. But anyway,
Jackie
it's
Graham says more women should learn to orgasm by themselves because men are not responsible for your orgasm. It is your orgasm.
well, yeah. But here's the problem. It's a bit of a red herring because what we're doing is we're reading this post, and for this post, these two people had an agreement. So that's
What
the
was that
context.
agreement?
That's the context in which
Oh, they
need to
agreed that it
read
was
the
cheating.
rest of the post.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Now we can
I
have an
have another
aside
opinion.
about how do you feel, how do I feel, how do everybody feel.
Here's my hot
It's
take on
kind of
that.
irrelevant to the question that might be here in this post somewhere.
If you contract with another individual, that is considered infidelity to have a bodily occurrence absent partner stimulation. Then that provision specifically is legally unenforceable. There's my nerdy lawyer answer for that. But number two,
Yeah.
why the fuck would you contract to something like that? What the fuck are you doing? You're just setting yourself up for so much failure. And then you get this part where they literally just got married on the 8th. Today I found out he's been watching porn. We had an agreement this was cheating. And also asking women in our state for nudes and admit, that's not the same as watching porn.
That's hilarious to me, like, because they start out with this sort of thing that's kind of like, okay, we don't want to watch all this porn or whatever. It's like, okay, fine, they don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And then they're like, and also asking women in this state for nudes. So it's like, wait, if I'm in Wisconsin, I can go get some nudes from a Minnesota lady? Like, is there state reciprocity, like the university system? Like, I'm also prohibited from Minnesota and Wisconsin, but Iowa is off limits.
So
this blows my mind. Like in our state,
area code.
I can drive 8 hours. It still be in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Does that mean I could go 8 hours south?
Yeah.
I remember that from the 90s,
States
man.
in the Midwest are farther apart. If they're on the East Coast, the next state could be 30 minutes away. Oh my gosh.
No.
This is so weird.
This is not the same thing as porn is cheating. He's literally asking women for nudes. That's just a different variable altogether. So now the entire analysis that we had is kind of off. But I'll continue for the sake because it's short enough. He in our state for nudes and admitted he never met up with any women because he was too scared, which makes me assume if he wasn't afraid of rejection, he would have had met up with them.
Probably.
Yeah. Probably. Yeah. Which tells me this guy's probably like in his early 20s. These folks got to be in their early 20s, right?
Yeah, they must be.
He hasn't texted another woman since November 23rd, 2024. Yo, got married like 2 months. That was 2 months ago.
I blocked my best friend for him. Sounds like something somebody on The Bachelor or Love is Blind would say.
19-year-old would say, his entire TikTok is full of half-naked women tweaking in sexual actions.
What?
Forgive his
that fucking algorithm is wild, though, man.
I don't know, man. I told him today I want an annulment. By the way, she's not going to get an annulment. An annulment involves tricking somebody. This is not the same as that.
Uh-oh.
Well, if you agreed that porn was a form of cheating, and then you prove other methods of infidelity by asking for nudes.
All right, Omar, when you say tricking, is there a legal standard you're referring to? Or
married under undue influence, or you didn't know that he had another wife at the time that you married him, or, some kind of grotesque.
It can't just be like, we agreed we wouldn't eat snickerdoodles and you ate the snickerdoodles.
It literally can't be that, we agreed we weren't going to cheat and he cheated the next day. Now I want a divorce. Yeah, you get divorced, you don't get an annulment. An annulment is some kind of intense, false pretense that you married the guy on, that you had no reasonable way of knowing other than that. And we'll annul the marriage. And the difference is it's like it never happened, but you can still get divorced.
Fraud or coercion, undisclosed prior marriage, incest, one or both parties were under the illegal age of consent, or temporary insanity that existed at the time of marriage.
Brad coming in with that's exactly right. All of those things would be legally permissible reasons for a annulment. But finding out your partner watched on porn, regardless of whatever contract y'all had, is not grounds for an annulment.
Okay.
But you got to understand, too, annulment just literally means we're going to just pretend this never happened. But you can still get divorced. I got to make that clear. I told him on annulment, am I the asshole if he hasn't physically had sex with anyone? You decide if you're the asshole or not. I don't give a shit. You want to divorce the guy, then do it.
Well, they're asking us.
In my opinion, no. If it is in defiance of your moral code that he's looking at porn and you don't desire that of a spouse, then find somebody that will adhere to that. You sound way too young to be having this conversation anyway. Get an effing divorce and try again somewhere down the road. But the next time you do, just make sure it's serious. Because this
Or
is
go to couples therapy to help him manage his expectations for your relationship.
Let me just, I'm spoiler alert on that. They're not ready for couples therapy. They need to probably let their brains fully develop.
Yeah, they probably shouldn't have gotten married in the first place.
Well, it says they've been together for 5 years, so they have an expectation of what the relationship's going to be.
So they were married together since they were 12. What does that mean? It means nothing.
Well,
22 to 25. Yeah, we don't know how old they are, actually.
Yeah.
They were together. Brad is correct. They were together about 3 years before marriage.
I literally just divorced somebody that has been with their partner since they were 13, getting divorced at 29.
Omar, let me ask you this. In your experience dealing with these cases, for people who are together for a long time and then got married, but then got divorced soon after, is it like the marriage unlocks a bunch of things that they should have figured out in the time they were together before, and or is it more like people get married fast and then find out all these problems and get divorced, or is it
That is a really complicated question, but here's my brief analysis. Your high school sweetheart, you're surrounded by fairy tales and stories and prom kings and queens and dances, and it ain't like that when you're in your 20s, you know? Then you got to take all of that and figure out how to be adults together. And the fact that you're together in high school, you were good for each other in high school, you know as well as anybody, Bruce, that when you're 15, you're way different at 25, you're way different at 35. Sometimes people just grow apart. The thing that might have drew you guys together is the fact that you were 420 friendly when you were like in junior high school. But sometimes you get married and you want to evolve and advance in life, and that's no longer an acceptable reason to be friends. And so you grow together or you grow apart. There's a million different reasons why people separate for that. But if you're going to choose a partner when you're children, you're gambling that as you continue to develop as adult people, your interests are going to remain aligned through the course of that growth. And that is a really fucking hard gamble to make. And some people do it, and sometimes it works out. More often than not,
I guess my question was more like, do you think that people are less likely to get divorced if they spend more time together in a relationship before they get married?
Oh, yeah, I can answer that.
Less time. Maybe I just worded my question really badly.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. Just off the top of my head statistics, most of the people that I divorce usually were married in their early 20s, mid 20s. I very seldom see divorce cases where they got married in their mid 30s, for example. Because you're getting married in your mid 30s, you kind of know what you are and who you're going to be. I mean, not to say
you're saying it's less about how much time exactly they spent in a relationship before they got married, and it's more about what age they are when they decided to get married.
It's about knowing who you are and knowing what you want. And most people do not choose their partners in that context. Most people choose their partners because of outside pressures and because of dreams and fantasies that they had from their childhood. And that's no way to pick a mate. Yeah. They seldom have the life experience of failure to understand what, for example, the pretty girl. We're infatuated by pretty girls, but we know through experiences that just because she's pretty doesn't mean that you're going to have a good time with her. She might be dumb as rocks. Same goes with Matrix. Right. And so we have all of these different requirements, and we don't really know what they're going to be until we grow and we have these experiences of failures. So if you're going to gamble and just declare that you've chosen your one true love without having gone through the whole rigmarole of gambling with relationships and taking chances on people and knowing what it is to fail and knowing what it means to get your heart broken and knowing both physical and mental failures and knowing what you want aspirationally in life and aligning those things with somebody. Too many people, they often fail to choose a partner in the context where they have all that figured out. But when they do, you're way more likely to have success in a marriage than not. Than these folks that have been together since they were like 15 and they're trying to make it work just for the sake of making it work because they watched The Prince and the Frog or something. I don't know, folks, but that's all I got for you. It's been 2 hours, 15 minutes. I could already see the sideways looks I'm going to get from my wife when I get home. But you know what? I'm going home anyway. I love you guys. Bruce, Brad, thank you, folks. Bruce, it was good to have you on the show again, man.
Yeah, man.
It's been like a month. Brad, it's always good to have you on. I feel like we are loosening you up for the world. We're like preparing you and like opening you up like a flower. Everybody tells me, wow, Brad is so much more funny now that he's been on Flad for like months because like you're just getting more accustomed. I don't know what it is.
What?
I don't know.
Always like this. It's when I'm in my own stream and I'm trying to be professional and not like.
I know. That's probably what it is too.
That's a whole different me than being a guest.
Very
on
different making your own video versus just hanging out in somebody else's channel. That's for sure.
I can show you some of the text messages I get from Brad.
like when I guest on Megan's stream, then I'm a guest and I'm there to provide funny and make the laughter. But if it's me and I've got to be the stiff, then it's a whole different man.
Yeah. Well, whenever you come on this show, just know that nobody likes a stiff.
No, Brad and I, we're the straight men, like we're Ed McMahon or, who's the other guy with Conan?
Well, what the fuck does that make me? Fucking chopped liver?
You're Conan then.
I'm Conan.
You and Dave and Megan, you guys are. You're
the funny guy, and
Johnny
we got.
Carson. Yeah.
All right, folks. On that note, I really do got to go. Hey, Bruce and Brad, seriously, thank you guys so much for coming on the show. I love you guys. Thank you for Schnitzel for making her guest appearance in spite of her feeling under the weather and tending to her sick child.
Mm-hmm.
I will see you guys probably on Monday, but you never know when I might do a wayward Saturday night stream because I'm bored. We'll see.
Yeah.
I love you all. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.